The car died without warning. No dramatic screech, no crash, just silence. 1 second, the engine hummed beneath him like it always had. Obedient, expensive, powerful. The next, it was gone. The steering wheel stiffened in his hands as the dashboard lights flickered once, then faded, as if the machine itself had decided it was finished pretending. Adrian Vale coasted to the side of the empty road, gravel crunching under the tires. His heart pounding harder than it ever had in a boardroom. The silence that followed felt enormous. He sat there, hands still wrapped around the wheel, suit jacket creased at the elbows, breathing slow but shallow. Beyond the windshield stretched miles of open highway and scrubland, the sky wide and pale in the late afternoon light. No buildings, no traffic, no assistance, no drivers, no safety net. Just him and the quiet. Adrian glanced at the clock on the dashboard. Dead. Frozen mid-minute. Then at his phone. 1 bar. Then none. He exhaled through his nose, a sharp sound of disbelief. Of all the days, of all the roads, he had chosen this route deliberately, a shortcut suggested by his GPS when the highway jammed miles back. He'd taken it without hesitation, confident as always that problems were things other people solved for him. That confidence now fell thin. Adrian opened the door and stepped out into the heat. The air smelled of dust and sun-warmed asphalt. His polished shoes sank slightly into the gravel shoulder as he circled the car, his jaw tightening with every step. He lifted the hood. The engine stared back at him, hot, complex, utterly uninterested in his wealth or reputation. Steam curled faintly upward. Adrian ran a hand through his hair, irritation rising. He had meetings waiting, a deal closing tonight, a flight booked. People who expected him to arrive composed and untouchable. He pulled his phone out again. No signal. For the first time in years, there was no one to call. A sound broke the stillness. Not a car, not a voice. Metal clanging against metal. Adrian froze, listening. The sound came again, steady, deliberate. From somewhere ahead, just beyond a bend in the road. A rhythm that spoke of work, of hands, of effort. He hesitated. Asking for help had never come naturally to him. He paid for solutions. He commanded them. He didn't walk dusty roads in a tailored suit, hoping a stranger might take pity on him. But the sun was lowering. The road was empty, and his options were gone. He closed the hood, straightened his jacket out of habit, and began to walk. Each step felt strangely loud. Gravel crunching, fabric brushing. The faint whistle of wind moving through dry grass. As he rounded the bend, he saw it. A small, weathered garage sat back from the road, its paint faded, its sign crooked. 2 open bays faced the highway. Tools hung from pegboards inside, catching the light. A pickup truck rested on a lift, its underbelly exposed, and beneath it, a woman. Only her boots were visible at first. Worn leather, scuffed toes. 1 foot hooked casually around the edge of the lift as she worked. Her movements were efficient, confident. The movements of someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Adrian slowed. Something tightened in his chest, though he didn't yet understand why. "Excuse me," he called, his voice carrying awkwardly across the open space. The clanging stopped. For a moment, there was nothing. Then the woman slid out from under the truck on a low mechanic's creeper, pushing herself upright with 1 hand. She stood. Time did something strange. Her hair was pulled back into a simple ponytail, a few loose strands framing her face. She wore faded denim overalls over a long-sleeve shirt, sleeves rolled to her elbows. Grease smudged 1 cheek. Her hands were darkened with oil. Her eyes lifted to meet his. And the world narrowed to that single point. Recognition flashed there, sharp, immediate, unmistakable. Adrian felt the air leave his lungs. Lena, he said before he could stop himself. The name fell between them like something fragile and dangerous. She didn't answer right away. She straightened fully, wiping her hands on a rag, her expression carefully neutral. But her eyes, those eyes, had already betrayed her. They held surprise and something deeper. Something she locked away almost instantly. Adrian, she said at last. She said it evenly, calmly, as if they were acquaintances who had crossed paths at a grocery store, not two people whose lives had once been intertwined down to the bone. For a heartbeat, neither of them moved. The garage hummed softly around them, the faint whine of electricity, the tick of cooling metal. A breeze lifted dust across the concrete floor. Adrian stopped, swallowed. His mind scrambled, rearranging reality. You're here? Her mouth curved slightly, but not into a smile. I am. He glanced around, as if the answer might be hidden in the walls, the tools, the open road. You're a mechanic now? She followed his gaze, unbothered. Have been for a while. Something in her tone closed a door. Adrian nodded slowly. He didn't know what to say. All the prepared speeches and confident words he carried into negotiations deserted him, leaving behind a man standing on a dusty roadside facing the one person he had never known how to speak to when it mattered. My car broke down, he said finally, gesturing vaguely behind him. A mile back. My phone isn't working. I heard, she replied. Silence travels out here. There it was, that familiar edge. The quiet intelligence that had once drawn him in, unsettled him, challenged him. Can you? He stopped himself, the question unfinished. Can you help me? Words tasted foreign. Lena studied him for a long moment. Not the suit, not the watch, not the carefully controlled posture. Him. Yes, she said. I can take a look. Relief washed through him, swift and unexpected. Thank you, he said, meaning it more than he liked. She gestured toward a wooden bench near the garage. Wait there, I'll grab my tools. Adrian sat. The bench creaked under his weight. From here he could see into the garage. Organized chaos. Wrenches line by size. Shelves stacked with parts. A small desk in the corner with papers, a chipped mug, and a child's drawing taped crookedly to the wall. He frowned. The drawing was simple. Crayon lines. A stick-figure woman holding the hand of a smaller figure. Above them, in uneven letters, was written, Mom. Something shifted inside him. Lena returned with a toolbox and motioned for him to lead the way. They walked back toward his car together. The distance shorter now, but heavier than before. Neither spoke. At the car, she went straight to work, opened the hood, leaned in, listened. Her focus was total, professional, as if he were any other stranded driver. Adrian watched her, memory intruding uninvited. The way she used to concentrate over books, the crease between her brows when she was thinking, how she hated being interrupted mid-task. You always did that, he said softly. She didn't look up. Did what? That, he said. Zone out when you're working. She paused, just briefly, then continued. Some habits stick. He nodded, unsure whether that was comfort or warning. After a few minutes, she straightened, wiping her hands again. Battery's dead. Alternator might be failing too. You didn't notice any warning lights? I wasn't paying attention, he admitted. She glanced at him then, a quick look, assessing. Figures. He almost smiled. I can get it running enough to move it here, she said, but it won't be a quick fix. That's fine, he said. I can wait. She raised an eyebrow. You don't look like someone who waits. He met her gaze. I can learn. Something flickered across her face. Not belief, not disbelief, just history. She turned away. As she worked, Adrian found himself speaking without planning to. I didn't know you were here. I thought you stayed in the city. I didn't, she said simply. Why didn't you tell me? Her hands stilled. Slowly, she looked at him again. You didn't ask, she said. The words landed heavier than any accusation. Adrian opened his mouth, then closed it. Because she was right. Because there had been 1,000 moments when he could have reached out, and he hadn't. The car engine coughed, then roared to life under her hands. "There," she said. "Drive it slow, follow me." Back at the garage, she parked his car inside the second bay and turned off the engine. The sudden quiet pressed in again, thicker now. "This will take a few hours," she said. "Maybe more. Parts might need ordering." He nodded. "I'll stay." She looked at him. Really looked at him this time. "You don't have anywhere else to be?" she asked. Adrian thought of the boardroom, the deal, the flight, the version of himself that never stopped moving. "No," he said, "I don't." She studied him a moment longer, then turned back to her tools. "Suit yourself," she said. As she moved away, Adrian's gaze drifted again to the child's drawing on the wall. "Lena," he said quietly. She paused, her back to him. "Is that?" He gestured toward the drawing. His throat felt tight. She didn't answer immediately. Then, without turning around, she said, "I have a daughter." The words settled into the space between them, final and undeniable. Adrian felt something deep inside him shift, crack, open. "How old?" he asked. "6," she said. Silence followed, not empty, loaded. Adrian stared at the concrete floor, the dust, the shadows cast by the open bay door. 6 years. The math was effortless. The implications were not. Lena set down her wrench and finally faced him again, her expression guarded but steady. "Whatever you're thinking," she said, "don't." He looked up at her, his heart pounding, and for the first time since his car had died on that road, he realized this breakdown was only the beginning. And the last thing he saw before she turned back to the engine was a truth he could no longer ignore. Some roads don't just stop you. They bring you back to the moment everything changed. It had brought him to the place where something else might finally begin. Night settled gently over the road, the sky darkening into a deep blue, scattered with stars that felt impossibly close out here. The garage lights glowed like a small island in the vast quiet. Crickets began their steady chorus, and somewhere far off, a lone truck passed, its sound fading almost as soon as it arrived. Lena wiped her hands on a clean rag and stepped back from the engine. "That's as much as I can do tonight," she said. "The part will be here first thing in the morning." Adrian nodded. "Thank you." She didn't respond to the gratitude. Not because it wasn't deserved, but because accepting it felt like letting something slip back into old patterns. Instead, she closed the hood with a firm click and motioned toward the office door. "I'm locking up soon," she said. "You can wait inside." He followed her in. The office was small, but warm. A desk by the window, 2 mismatched chairs, a couch that had seen better years, but still looked inviting. The walls were dotted with more drawings now, stick figures, cars with smiling faces, bright suns hovering over everything. Maya's world, captured in color. Adrian took it in quietly. "Tea?" Lena asked, already reaching for the kettle. "Yes," he said. "Please." She filled it at the sink and set it on the hot plate. The ordinariness of the moment felt surreal. He couldn't remember the last time someone had offered him tea without a meeting agenda attached. Maya emerged from the back room, already in pajamas, her hair damp as if she'd washed up. A book was tucked under her arm. "Are you staying?" she asked Adrian, hopeful. Lena shot her a look. "Sweetheart, I'll be here for a bit," Adrian said gently. "But your mom and I have some things to talk about." Maya nodded, satisfied. "Okay." She climbed onto the couch, curling up with her book, already half lost in it. Lena poured the tea and handed Adrian a mug. Their fingers brushed briefly. Neither acknowledged it. They sat in silence for a few moments. Adrian on one chair, Lena on the other. The space between them felt deliberate. "You don't have to stay," Lena said eventually. "The motel isn't far." "I know," he replied. But I want to. She studied him over the rim of her mug. Why? He didn't answer right away. Because the truth wasn't simple. Because it wasn't flattering. Because I don't want to run this time, he said finally. Her gaze sharpened. You think that's all it takes? No, he said. But I think it's where it starts. Maya turned a page loudly, blissfully unaware of the weight of the conversation unfolding a few feet away. You hurt me, Lena said quietly. Not by leaving, but by never looking back. Adrian felt the words settle deep. I thought I was building something important. You were, she replied. Just not with me. He nodded. I see that now. Seeing it now doesn't change what it was like then, she said. Being alone, making decisions by myself, choosing courage every day, because there was no one else to lean on. I'm not asking you to erase any of that, he said. I wouldn't want to, she searched his face. Then what are you asking for? He hesitated. The answer rose slowly, carefully. A chance to know the people my life brushed past and never stayed long enough to understand. Lena exhaled. Not sharply, not angrily, just tired. You're not the only one who's changed, she said. I'm not the woman you left. I know, he said. I wouldn't expect you to be. Good, she replied. Because I won't be made small again. The firmness in her voice wasn't a challenge, it was a boundary. I wouldn't want you small, Adrian said. I want you exactly as you are. The words surprised both of them. Maya yawned, stretching dramatically. Mom? Yes, sweetheart. I'm sleepy. Lena smiled, soft and immediate. Okay, let's get you to bed. She stood, lifting Maya effortlessly, and carried her toward the back room. Adrian watched them go, the intimacy of the moment pressing against his chest in ways he hadn't anticipated. When Lena returned, the room felt different, quieter, more exposed. She'll be asleep in minutes, Lena said, lowering her voice. She's had a long day. I can leave if you want, Adrian offered. She shook her head. No, stay. The word lingered between them. They moved to the couch, sitting at opposite ends. The cushion dipped under Adrian's weight. He could still feel the warmth where Maya had been moments earlier. Do you ever think about it? He asked softly. Think about what? Lena replied. Us. She looked at him, truly looked at him, and something in her gaze softened. Not with longing, but with recognition. I think about who I was, she said, and who I became. And, he prompted gently, and I don't regret the woman I am now, she finished. That's not what I asked, he said. No, she agreed, but it's the answer you need. Adrian leaned back, absorbing that. You always did that, he said quietly. Did what? Answered the question behind the question. She smiled faintly. Some habits stick. The words echoed something from earlier, binding the day together in subtle ways. Adrian, she said after a moment. Why today? He frowned slightly. What do you mean? Why now? She clarified. Why show up like this, after all these years, when there's nothing convenient about it? He thought of the road, the silence, the engine dying. I didn't choose today, he said. Today chose me. She considered that. Sometimes, she said slowly, the universe is cruel. Sometimes, he replied, it's precise. They shared a look then. Not charged, not desperate, just honest. I can't promise anything, Lena said. Not answers, not access, not forgiveness. I'm not asking for promises, Adrian said. Just truth. She nodded. Then here's mine. She took a breath. I loved you, she said. Deeply, completely. But love without presence turns into something painful, and I won't live in that again. Adrian felt the truth of it settle inside him. I don't want to be a ghost in anyone's life anymore, he said. She watched him carefully. Words are easy. I know, he replied. That's why I'm here instead of gone. The clock on the wall ticked softly. Time moved forward again, steady and unremarkable, as if the world had decided to allow this conversation to exist. Lena stood and reached for a blanket draped over the back of a chair. She handed it to him. It gets cold at night, she said. Thank you, he replied, accepting it. She hesitated, then sat back down beside him, not close, but closer than before. Outside, the wind shifted. The stars burned on. This doesn't fix anything, Lena said quietly. I know, Adrian said, but it feels like the beginning of something honest. She didn't argue with that. They sat together in silence, not empty this time, but full of things neither needed to say yet. And for the first time in longer than he could remember, Adrian didn't feel the urge to escape it. And for the first time in longer than he could remember, Adrian didn't feel the urge to escape it. Morning arrived quietly, not with alarms or schedules or the sharp pull of obligation, but with light, pale gold slipping through the garage windows. Dust rose softly in its path. The familiar scent of oil and metal mingled with fresh air. Adrian woke on the couch, the blanket still folded neatly around him. For a moment, he didn't know where he was. Then memory returned. Not in a rush, but like a tide easing back in. The road, the silence, Lena. He sat up slowly. From the back room came the muted sounds of life beginning. A drawer opening, water running, a small voice humming off-key. Adrian stood, straightened his shirt, and felt something unfamiliar settle into his chest. Belonging. Not ownership, not entitlement, just presence. Lena emerged first, her hair loosely tied, wearing a simple sweater and jeans. She looked surprised to see him awake. "Morning," she said. "Morning," he replied. They stood there, unsure for half a second what the morning required of them. Then Maya burst past Lena, backpack already slung on. "Good morning, fancy man," she said brightly. Adrian smiled. "Good morning, Maya." She eyed him seriously. "Did your car get better while you were sleeping?" "Not yet," he said, "but your mom is working on it." Maya nodded approvingly. "She fixes everything." Lena smiled at that, a real one. "Shoes," she reminded gently. Maya disappeared again. Lena gestured toward the kettle. "Coffee?" "Yes," Adrian said. "Please." They moved around each other in the small space with cautious familiarity. No touching, no assumptions, just awareness. "You didn't leave," Lena said, neither accusing nor questioning, just stating. "I said I wouldn't," he replied. She studied him for a moment, then nodded once. The part arrived mid-morning. A delivery truck pulled up, scattering dust, then disappeared again as quickly as it came. Lena got to work immediately, sleeves rolled, focus absolute. Adrian stayed nearby, handing her tools when she asked, stepping aside when she didn't. Maya watched from a chair, swinging her legs. "You're like an assistant," she told him. He laughed softly. "I suppose I am." "Are you good at it?" she asked. "I'm learning," he said. Lena glanced at him briefly at that. The engine came back to life, with a smooth, steady hum. Lena wiped her hands and stepped back. "That should do it." Adrian listened to the sound as if it were something fragile. "Thank you." She nodded. "You're good to go." The words hung there. Go. Adrian turned off the engine and stepped out of the car. He didn't reach for his phone. He didn't check the time. He didn't rush. "I owe you," he said. "You can pay at the desk," Lena replied automatically. He did, quietly, without comment. Then he stood there, keys in hand, the road waiting just beyond the garage. Maya looked between them. "Is he leaving?" Lena's jaw tightened slightly. "Yes." "Oh," Maya said. She thought about it. "Will we see you again?" The question landed without strategy or fear, just curiosity. Lena inhaled. Adrian crouched slightly, keeping his voice gentle. "If your mom says it's okay." Maya looked at Lena expectantly. Lena met her daughter's eyes, then Adrian's. "Maybe," she said carefully. "We'll see." Maya accepted this as children often do. "Okay, bye." "Bye," Adrian said. He straightened, facing Lena. "I won't pretend this didn't matter," he said quietly, "because it did." She held his gaze. "It mattered. That doesn't mean it defines what comes next." "I understand," he replied. "I need time," she added. "Not to decide anything, just time." "I'm not going anywhere," Adrian said, "not like before." She searched his face, then nodded. "Drive safe," she said. "I will." He hesitated, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a simple card. No title, no logo, just his name and number. "If you ever need anything," he said. "Anything." Lena took the card, holding it between two fingers as if it weighed less than it looked. "I don't need saving." "I know," he replied. "That's not why I'm offering." She slipped the card into her pocket. Adrian walked to his car. He drove away slowly, deliberately, watching the garage shrink in the rearview mirror until it became just another shape on the road. But something was different. The road didn't feel empty anymore. Days passed, then weeks. Adrian returned to his life, but not as it had been. He listened more. He canceled less carefully. He noticed silence instead of avoiding it. He didn't call Lena. He didn't send messages disguised as check-ins. He let time be what she had asked for. One afternoon, his phone rang. An unfamiliar number. "Adrian," Lena's voice said when he answered. "Yes," he replied immediately. "Maya has a school thing," she said. "A repair day. Parents show their jobs. She asked if you wanted to come." He closed his eyes. "Yes," he said. "If you're sure." "I am," she replied. The school gym smelled like glue and cardboard and excitement. Kids clustered around tables, showing off projects. Maya stood proudly beside a small model car, its hood propped open. "This is Adrian," she told her classmates. "He broke his car and my mom fixed it." Adrian laughed softly. "That's true." Lena stood nearby, watching, not guarded now, but observant. They didn't rush. They didn't label anything. They didn't pretend history hadn't happened. They built something new instead. Not romance first, not certainty. Trust. Adrian learned Maya's favorite stories. Lena learned that Adrian could sit still, that he could show up without spectacle, that he could leave without disappearing. One evening, months later, they stood outside the garage as the sun dipped low. "This isn't the life you planned," Lena said. "No," Adrian replied, "but it's the life I choose." She looked at him then, not as someone he used to be, not as someone he might become, but as the man standing in front of her now. "Okay," she said. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't loud, but it was real. And this time, when the road stretched ahead of him, Adrian didn't speed through it. He stayed. Some roads don't just stop you. They bring you back to the moment everything changed. That moment sat between them now, heavy and alive, filling the garage with things neither of them had said for years. Lena turned back to the engine, the movement deliberate, controlled. Adrian could see it in the tight set of her shoulders, in the slight clench of her jaw as she reached for another tool. She was protecting something. Or someone. The silence stretched. Adrian leaned against the workbench, unsure where to put his hands. His body suddenly foreign to him. He had faced hostile takeovers, courtroom threats, public scrutiny that could flatten entire reputations. None of it compared to this quiet garage and the woman standing a few feet away, pretending he wasn't dismantling her world simply by standing in it again. "I didn't know," he said finally. Lena didn't look at him. "That doesn't change anything." "I know," he replied quickly. I'm not trying to rewrite the past." She released a small, humorless breath. "That's good, because the past doesn't rewrite easily." Her words landed with precision. She had always been like this, direct, honest to the point of discomfort. It was one of the things he had loved, and one of the reasons he had lost her. Adrian watched her work. The way she moved around the engine felt natural, grounded. This wasn't a phase or a detour. This was her life. "How long have you been here?" he asked. "Almost 4 years," she said. "Moved out after everything. Settled." He nodded, even though nothing about that word felt accurate. Settled. As if the end of them were something that could simply sink to the bottom of time without leaving ripples behind. "And your daughter?" he asked carefully. Does she come here?" "After school," Lena replied. "She's with a neighbor right now." Adrian swallowed. "Does she?" "No," Lena said, sharp but controlled. She doesn't know you. She doesn't need to. The finality in her voice left no room for negotiation. He lifted his hands slightly, a gesture of surrender. I'm not asking for anything. I didn't expect this. Neither did I, she said. But here we are. Another stretch of silence. Outside, the light shifted as the sun dipped lower, spilling gold across the concrete floor. Dust motes drifted in the air. The world felt paused, suspended in a fragile moment neither of them could step away from. Adrian glanced again at the drawing taped to the wall. She drew that? He asked softly. Lena followed his gaze despite herself. Her expression softened, just a fraction. Yes. She's good, he said, confident lines. Lena smiled then, not at him but at the memory. She is. The smile vanished as quickly as it came. Adrian felt the loss of it like a door closing. I should probably call my assistant, he said, more to fill the space than because he intended to leave. Let them know I won't make it. You said your phone wasn't working, Lena replied. It might now, he said, checking anyway. Still no signal. He exhaled. Guess I'm stuck. She glanced at him briefly. You can use the landline if you need to. Later, he said, I'm not in a hurry. That earned him a look, curious, measuring. You really don't have somewhere else to be? She asked again. I do, he said honestly, but it can wait. She studied his face as if searching for something familiar, something false, something unchanged. People like you don't wait, she said quietly. People like me don't usually break down on empty roads either, he replied. For a moment, something almost like laughter flickered between them. Almost. Lena returned to the engine, loosening a belt with practiced ease. You can sit inside if you want. It's cooler. I'm fine here. He was fine nowhere else. Minutes passed. Then more. The sounds of the garage, tools clinking, metal shifting, settled into a rhythm. Adrian let it wash over him. He couldn't remember the last time he'd been still without checking the time every few seconds. You always hated silence, Lena said suddenly. He looked up. I still do. She nodded. Then why aren't you filling it? He considered that. Because this silence feels earned. Her hands paused again. She didn't respond. The sound of a car pulling up outside broke the moment. Tires on gravel, a door opening, light footsteps. Mom? A small voice called. Adrian's heart stuttered. Lena stiffened, then relaxed. In here, sweetheart. A little girl appeared at the entrance to the garage. Brown hair pulled into messy pigtails. A backpack slipping off one shoulder. A paper bag clutched in one hand. Curiosity bright in her eyes. Adrian froze. This was not a concept, not a story, not an idea. This was real. Hi, said cheerfully, glancing between them. Hey, Lena replied, her voice immediately softer. How was school? Good, she said, then noticed Adrian properly. Her gaze lingered, open and unguarded. Who's that? Lena hesitated. Adrian felt the pause like a held breath. He's someone whose car broke down, Lena said at last. I'm helping him. Oh, the girl said thoughtfully. She stepped closer, peering up at Adrian. You look fancy. Adrian almost laughed, almost cried. That's one word for it, he said gently. What's your name? She asked. Lena inhaled sharply. Sweetheart? It's okay, Adrian said quickly, before Lena could redirect her. He crouched slightly, lowering himself to the girl's level. I'm Adrian. I'm Maya, she said proudly. My mom fixes cars. She's very good at it, Adrian replied. Maya beamed. I know. Lena watched them, tension etched across her features. Maya tugged at Lena's sleeve. Can I draw more while you work? Yes, Lena said, brushing a strand of hair from her daughter's face. Go inside. Maya nodded, then looked back at Adrian. Your car must be really broken if my mom is still fixing it. He smiled. It is. She accepted that and skipped inside. The moment she disappeared, Lena's expression hardened. That was not planned, she said quietly. I know, Adrian replied. I'm sorry if... She doesn't get attached to strangers, Lena continued. I don't want questions later. There won't be, he promised. She studied him, searching his face for something reckless, Something careless. Finding none, she turned back to the engine. Good, she said. Outside, the sky deepened into orange and purple. The air cooled slightly. The garage lights flickered on, bathing the space in a warm glow. Adrian remained where he was, watching Lena work, listening to the faint sound of Maya humming somewhere inside. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked quietly. Lena didn't answer right away. "Why didn't you tell me you were pregnant?" he clarified. The wrench slipped from her hand and clattered onto the concrete floor. She closed her eyes. For a long moment, Adrian thought she might tell him to leave. Instead, she straightened slowly. "You left," she said. "You left before I had the chance." "I didn't leave," he said immediately. "I went on a business trip." She turned to face him fully now, her eyes sharp. "You chose the trip over the conversation." The word struck home. "I was scared," he admitted. "So was I," she replied. "But I stayed." Silence again, heavier now, charged. "I found out a week after you left," she continued. "I called your office. They told me you were unavailable." "I didn't get the message," he said. "Maybe not," she replied. "But I stopped trying." He nodded slowly. "That's fair." The honesty surprised even him. "I built my life without you," Lena said. "Not out of spite, out of necessity." "I see that," he said, gesturing around them, "and I respect it." She studied him. "Do you?" "Yes." "Then don't confuse being here now with being entitled to anything," she said firmly. "I won't," he promised. Her shoulders eased slightly. From inside, Maya's laughter drifted out, light, carefree. Adrian felt something twist inside his chest, not jealousy, not regret exactly, but a deep awareness of all the moments he had never known existed. "Is she happy?" he asked. Lena didn't hesitate. "Yes." That answer mattered more than anything else. "Good," he said. They stood there, surrounded by tools and memories, and a future neither of them had planned for this way. Lena finally picked up the wrench again. "Your alternator needs replacing. I'll have the part by morning." "So I'm staying the night?" he asked. She nodded. "There's a motel down the road. Or you can wait here until I close up." "I'll wait," he said. She glanced at him. "Suit yourself." As she turned back to work, Adrian realized something quietly profound. This road hadn't just brought him back to the moment everything changed. It had brought him to the place where something else might finally begin.